couple months ago, MHD released new maps for the N55e series for the first time in years. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out my video on it. I just released it about a month ago or so. And this week, they released yet more features for the N55e series. I'm super excited about it. These new features are a part of what MHD calls the MHD Plus suite, and they had been available already on some of the newer cars. And I gotta say, I was pretty jealous watching the B58 and the S55 and the S58 guys have all their fun with MHD Plus, but don't have to be jealous anymore because MHD has just announced this week that the features are now available on N55e. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what the new features are and how to use them. So if you were previously using the MHD N55e app, that app is no longer going to be used. And instead, we're going to be using this MHD Flasher app. This app used to be called MHD F&G. So as you can see, I had this app before, and now it says update, right? And it also has a different name. So if you already were using the F&G app from the beta maps, then just go ahead and click update. Now that it's updated, go ahead and open it and log in like normal. From this point forward, it works just like it worked before on N55e. First feature I'm going to show you is Antilag. And so to get started, you're going to need to actually install that in your car. So go ahead and plug in your MHD dongle, pull up your phone. So now go ahead and go to Flash and MHD map, and then select v2.xx beta maps, MHD Plus, and then choose which stage you're going to use. So I'm going to choose stage 2 plus on 93 octane. Then it's connected to the DME, and then go to options and see under options we have a new section called MHD Plus Suite. So we can go ahead and toggle on anti-lag there and then choose our boost target. And I have it set to 13 right now, but you can do more or less, depends on whatever you're comfortable with. And then you can also choose how you're going to actually control anti-lag and turn it on. And I'll talk about this in a minute, but I have it set to wheel buttons only because I don't want to accidentally turn it on while I'm just using cruise control like normal. And if you haven't installed a Catless downpipe, I wouldn't suggest using anti-lag at all because you will damage your cat rather quickly using anti-lag, and that could cause some sort of like blockage or something in the exhaust, which would not be optimal, to say the least. Also, if you have a valved exhaust like these do from the factory, I would definitely recommend making sure that your valve is fully open whenever you use anti-lag, because you've got a lot of extra pressure in the exhaust system, and that extra pressure on that closed valve could be bad for the valve. Maybe not, but better to be safe. But anyways, now that I warned you, let's just go try it out. So in order to use rolling anti-lag, first you're going to make sure that you are in sport mode. Then go ahead and put your transmission in manual mode. Then turn DTC one click off. Also make sure that your engine is up to temp. Definitely don't be doing this on cold oil. And then as far as what gear to use, it doesn't really matter which gear you're in. Just make sure you use a gear where the revs are between like 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. That would probably be best range to do it, in my experience at least so far. And to activate anti-lag, what you need to do is either press and hold the down volume button or pull in the cruise control stalk towards you and hold. And as you do that, start to slowly press on the gas until you're fully floored. And as you do that, you'll feel the car kind of resist going forward, and you'll also hear the engine starts to sound a little bit different. So after you build boost for a couple seconds, boost should be at that target threshold that you set in the app. And then at that point, all you do is just let go of the volume button or the cruise control stalk, and you're going. So here's a second gear anti-lag pull. It's freaking sick, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. That's awesome. All right, so using anti-lag from a standstill is a little bit different. And what you're gonna need to do for this is go ahead and make sure that the car is in drive first. Put it in manual mode, have sport mode on, and then you wanna have your DTC one click off. You actually can't do it with DTC fully off, or at least I wasn't able to. tried several times. And full disclosure, I actually tried using the Antilag launch, and I thought I broke my car. I was planning on featuring it in the video as far as like demonstrating me actually doing it, but truthfully, I am not comfortable doing that. I really don't want to break something. So I guess use at your own risk, but I'll just walk you through the steps according to the user manual. So what you're going to do is first use launch control, and if you didn't know that your car has launch control from the factory, now you do. And in order to do that, you're going to use your left foot on the brake and then mash the gas. And as you can see, the revs go up to 4,000. So that's the stock rev limiter for launch control. And if you have something like XHP, you can actually change that to whatever you want. But what you do is you're going to initiate launch control like that, and then mash your minus button or pull your stock and let it build boost for a couple seconds, and then let go of the brake and of the button at the same time, and you should be able to launch with the amount of boost that you selected in the app. And chances are you will be doing a massive burnout. So I don't really see a huge perk to this, but it's there if you want to use it. One more reminder that this is hard on your car, so just be careful how often you use it. And if you use it from a standstill especially, you're probably going to be wearing out your clutch a little bit faster in addition to your turbo and any other supporting engine components. So just be careful with that, but you know, have fun with it. So anyways, if you're curious how Antilag actually works, I was really curious about this, so I did some research on it. In order to actually create Antilag, timing is delayed significantly so that whenever the combustion process is actually happening, the exhaust valves have already started to open up. And so what ends up occurring is some of that combustion pressure from that explosion that happens in the combustion chamber is actually leaking out into the exhaust and increasing the pressure in the exhaust and then spooling up the turbo without actually having to put load on the engine. So that's why it's really hard on the turbo, because you're increasing the amount of pressure that's in the exhaust and in your turbo. So yeah, super cool feature, but I'm probably not going to be using that much because I don't like breaking things. Maybe my perspective will change on that as my income goes up, but as of right now, you're probably not going to use it much. You probably heard this next feature earlier whenever I was demonstrating Antilag, and it's called Overrun Brap. And Overrun Brap originated on the OG M2 whenever it came from the factory with this overrun sound on D-cell. And then in addition to the M2, a lot of the other M cars since then have gotten this overrun sound. And I think it sounds pretty cool. And to turn on Overrun Brap, you're going to do the same thing as before and go to Flash and MHD map, go to the beta maps, select your stage, go to your options, and then scroll down to the exhaust section. And here you can see Overrun Brap. So I have it set to long right now. You also have short or OEM. Short means that the brap is going to be of short duration, and long means that the brap is long duration. Pretty straightforward. OEM means that it's off altogether, or whatever your car came with from the factory or OEM, that's what the brap is going to be set to. And I've noticed that whenever you have it set to long or short, no matter if you're in sport mode or not, it will brap no matter what. So it's not like burbles where you can turn it off and on. And it seems like the more boost that you have built up whenever you let off the gas, the louder and more aggressive the brap is going to be. And also if you don't come off the throttle quickly enough, so you just kind of like roll off the throttle, it won't brap at all. So you may want to play around with the settings to see which one you like the best. And also play around with the brap duration settings along with the burble duration settings, because if you have like a really long brap, it might actually carry over the burbles. So you won't actually get to hear the burbles after. But that's all personal preference, so definitely try that out for yourself to see what you like the best. But to give you kind of a baseline, I did go ahead and take 4 different settings. So here's what it sounds like on my car. Now, if you're like me, you probably wonder what the heck is making that noise, because it's kind of like burbles, but it's not. Like, it definitely sounds different from burbles. So the sound that you hear is the DME cutting ignition, which creates a pressure change in the exhaust and causes a pressure wave to build in the exhaust and create that brap sound. And the original reason for this brap sound was actually for performance. In F1 cars, whenever they were braking, they noticed that they could improve the amount of downforce if they kept exhaust gases flowing underneath the diffuser. So in order to increase the downforce while they were engine braking in corners, they implemented this overrun feature, and there was two different ways of doing it. One was considered hot blowing, and the other one was called cold blowing. And I read all about this in a forum post, which I'll link that in the description if you're curious to read more about it like I was. But they were able to create excess pressure in the exhaust, which then was forced out of the exhaust pipe over the diffusers and increased downforce, which I think is so cool. Like, the amount of engineering solutions that they have figured out in F1 that are just like totally off the wall and far and above what street cars do is just really cool. One feature I didn't mention is no lift shift, and that's because that's for manual cars only, and obviously I have a DCT, so I can't use that feature. So sorry I wasn't able to demonstrate how to use that feature, but if you have a manual car, I'm sure that you can figure out how to use that on your own. Also, in addition to Overrun Brap, Anti-Lag, and No Lift Shift, there are some other MHD Plus features that aren't actually available on off-the-shelf maps, but are available if you have a custom tune. So if you're like me and you only are using an off-the-shelf tune, we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer to get other features like flex fuel and on-the-fly map switching. But I have to say, I'm really happy with the new features, and also shout out to you, MHD. I really appreciate you continuing to develop this platform, regardless of how old it is. I really appreciate it. I know the rest of the community really appreciates it, so appreciate you, MHD. And by the way, I did want to say that I hit 500 subscribers this week, and I'm just so excited. Thank you so much for subscribing if you've subscribed so far. If you haven't subscribed, let me know why not. Let me know how I can make my content better and what I can do to provide just higher quality content that you guys would enjoy and would benefit from. I've really benefited from this because I've been able to connect with so many of you guys, which if you've subscribed to me, please reach out to me on Instagram or in the comments. I read every single comment and reply to most of them, unless if you said something really mean. And I definitely check my DMs and reply to any DMs. So it's been really awesome connecting to a few of you that have reached out. Thank you so much for reaching out. I love talking to you guys about BMW stuff and 1 Series stuff and whatnot. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, keep joyriding.